come here, come closer. So you really feel like at home here, yeah?
I do. Yeah.
Me as well. It's a good sign that we are here in the hotel room and not in the lobby.
Yes.
Because this means that there's too much trouble, too much party, too much energy in the lobby.
Yeah.
So that we have to record the hotel podcast here.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, the rooms are designed to be calming and kind of a quiet oasis within the big city. So I think it's a great place to talk.
And it's even a 24/7, yeah? Bar?
Yes.
Yeah? 24/7?
Yeah.
Bar? Okay.
That's right.
Perhaps that's why. Okay. You know what? I promised myself to leave my comfort zone and to record at least one English hotel podcast within this year.
Okay.
And it's not the only reason that you're here, because
but it's a reason.
You're not the only one I found who is native English, but it's a very, very good reason. Yeah?
Well, I'm happy to be your guinea pig and help you along on this project.
Okay,
so.
you are my guinea pig.
Yes.
Thanks for that.
Anytime.
It's not the best English. It's only school English. I lived in France, studied in France. My French is much better. But one day I have to start. Yeah,
that's exactly right. I think you just got to make it happen and go out there and do it. So I'm glad I can help.
Your German is so good.
Thank you.
And perhaps we can just keep it as a backup plan if I don't understand. So let's switch to German, okay? The audience, if you don't like my unprofessional English, please don't leave any bad comment. If you do so, I will ban you from the subscriber list. Yeah, so for sure. Okay. So we are here at the Ruby Hotel. It's not the only Ruby Hotel in Munich. I think there are,
Ruby Lilly here was our third
Ruby
hotel
Lilly,
we
okay.
opened. So this property we opened about 6 years ago, and now we've opened since then hotels all over Germany, in the UK, in Switzerland as well.
But you started in Austria, I think.
We started in Austria, so our first two hotels were in Vienna.
In Vienna.
Yeah, and from there it just expanded. So we started kind of in German-speaking countries, but then with our first project in London, that was actually our first project that we ran completely in English. So speaking about language learning, it was definitely a learning curve for some people on the team, and getting all of our documentation translated. So it's a fun part.
Now
of the process.
you go to Scotland, to Edinburgh, I think.
We do. Yeah, I'm really excited about a hotel we just signed off on in Scotland, because it just has such an amazing location in Princes Street, and you're really kind of in the heart of Edinburgh. You can see the castle. I mean, it couldn't be a nicer location. So we're really looking forward to it. Yeah.
And for you, do you like it to work in English again, or
I do.
With some suppliers on site?
It's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. We definitely, working in the UK, working in Ireland, I noticed the differences too, just within English of what we call things. So sometimes we're all sort of sitting around the table trying to decide which English word are we going to use for what thing, But it's fun. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. And when did you join the company?
So I joined the company just shy of 6 years ago.
6 years, okay.
So at that point they were just opening this hotel, their third property. It was kind of coming out of that startup phase and transitioning into something different, which is, I think, a really interesting time to join a company. So it was definitely kind of in that building up what was already there. It's kind of.
I think in your childhood you planned to play in an orchestra. Yeah.
Yes.
That's something.
That's right.
So I found out about you.
Yes. So when I was
you didn't tell me about.
Kid, when I was little, and when I was a teenager, I thought I was going to be a professional musician. And so
And now, how do you call your job? What?
So now in German, they would say Innenarchitekt, which is an interior architect. So I went to university here in Munich, went to the fine arts school here, and studied here. So, and then ended up just staying kind of.
Okay. And you like it?
Region.
I do. Like it?
Yeah, very much so.
You like Munich?
I do. Yeah.
Is there another city you like as well?
In Germany.
In Germany?
Oh gosh, there's lots of cities I like. We have a hotel in Hamburg, and Hamburg, I think, is such an interesting city because there's so many different sides to it. You sort of have the industrial harbor area and the old city. So I think that's a really, really interesting city. Probably my number 2 in Germany.
Right. Yeah. Where do you get I said where, but it's French, so sorry. So I think you always get a lot of inspiration from the surrounding of the hotel.
We do.
So if you say Hamburg, an industrial area, I think that the hotel looks a little bit like it has to be a Hamburg hotel.
It's important for us that each hotel that we do tells the story of that area and that location. So we spend a lot of time researching each location, researching each building we're working with, to find a story that we want to share with the guests, to kind of explain, to them what has happened on that spot through history, and that's a lot of fun. I really enjoy.
Not only in the city or even in the area,
Sometimes it's very specific to the building. So, for example, the hotel Ruby Mimi in Zurich was located in one of the first cinemas, actually, in Zurich. And so the story we're telling there is the story of sort of the first cinemas and silent films. So that story is very specific to that building, even. Yeah. So sometimes it depends. We'll maybe look at the region, but we might actually look at the specific building as well.
Is there any theme, any topic you're still looking for, but you want to?
No, I think each location.
But it's because it's always a surprise.
Yeah, each one is very
First
different.
Is a building, and then you find out what's around and what the story is behind.
Yeah, so sometimes if you're working with a listed property, the building might have a really interesting history, but some of the buildings we work with are maybe newer, or we might do a new construction project. So the starting point is always very different for us.
And at the moment, you're working on the Scotland project, or are there any other projects?
Yeah, there's a lot of others.
I think, how many hotels do you have so far? 15? Around 15 or 16, 17, something?
Yeah, not quite. So currently
we're the same amount you've got in the pipeline.
Something like that, yeah. So right now we're currently working on our second hotel in London called Ruby Zoe at Notting Hill Gate, which is a great property.
Okay.
And then we're also working on a third hotel in London called Ruby Stella.
Nice.
We're working on a hotel in Stuttgart at the moment.
No, that's where I come from.
Hotel and Workspaces.
That's the first time.
It's
nice.
In the Gerber shopping center.
Gerber, okay. You know in the Gerber center.
Yeah.
It's a shopping center that never worked. So
exactly.
That's why we need a hotel.
We need a hotel there, and we're building a great hotel there.
Okay. No, it's better to have these shops. It's better to have a hotel instead of all these shops.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
Yeah.
Nice, okay. So that's a good location. Very close to the city center. Well, it's the city center.
It is, yeah. So, you can really walk to everything in the middle of Stuttgart from there. And we're also working on a hotel in Florence at the moment, which is
in Italy, Florence.
Beautiful building.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah. So also a historic building, and our first project in Italy. So that's been very, very exciting as well.
Okay. Cool. No, I'm really looking forward that so many new hotels coming to Stuttgart, because there was nothing. Yeah. Now Althoff just closed. Althoff am Schlossgarten, 5-star hotel.
Yeah.
And took it renovated. They will open in 3 years, I think, again. And nice to have another.
Yeah, it's interesting how some cities they have a very specific hotel market. So when we moved into Florence, and I was kind of researching Florence and seeing kind of, what other brands are there? What's the hotel market like? I just had the impression, there wasn't a whole lot going on. And now 25 Hours has opened a great property in Florence. That's really cool. And I feel like it's just kind of starting to turn. But it seemed like before then, for a long time, it had kind of been sort of that, sort of dusty 4 or 5-star hotels. So it's fun to break into those markets and feel like you've got something really special to add to the mix.
Okay. When I first discovered your website of Ruby Hotels, I think it was in 2018 when I worked for a French OTA in Aix-en-Provence, Voyage-Free. That was the first contact with some of you guys. There was the expression, and it's still the same expression today, lean luxury.
Yeah.
What does it mean for a very general question, but it's an interesting term, so that's fine.
It is, and it's really something that each team at Ruby interprets in their own special way. So,
I think so, yeah.
So for us,
it's not only about design.
It's not only about design. It's really about operations and marketing.
Lean.
And it's really kind of carries through all the different hotel areas. So
it's interesting what to say. Yeah.
So for us, what that means for interior design, if you're looking at architecture, is we've really had put a lot of thought into what do we want to offer the guests, what do our guests really need, and what don't they need. Yeah. So. For example, it's really important for us to have hotels that are in great inner city locations. So that means we don't need to have a restaurant, because there's tons of great restaurants right outside the hotel, and our guests want to go out and explore the city. So we can give them some great restaurant recommendations, but we don't have to build a restaurant kitchen into the hotel. So that means for us...
Only the bar. That's important.
We have a bar. Yeah, the bar is important.
So that directly from the bar you can...
Yeah, exactly.
fall down.
But so that means on the lean side, we don't have to, use the
very
space
lean,
for the restaurant.
Yeah. Okay.
We just have the bar, and that's one of the things we felt like was really important. Is the guests, you want a great bed, you want a great shower, a great bar, and so.
So what do you don't need?
So, for example, at the hotel restaurant, we don't have.
Okay.
We don't have maybe other services you might find in a 5-star hotel, like a laundry service, or
okay. Yeah.
there's no room service, because those are all things that you can find sort of in the surrounding area. So, and also in terms of the rooms and the way we design the rooms, we're very conscious of using space wisely. So the rooms are on the smaller scale.
Yeah.
But what we put into the rooms, it's really important to us to offer the best quality that we can, and truly be honest and genuine about it. So if you see something, and it looks like wood, that means it's actually wood. It's not plastic or something.
Yeah. Okay. So. Is there any project in Asia as well, or have there been any plans in the past? I think.
Well, I mean, I think there's always plans to go different places, but as of yet, we're focusing on the European market.
Okay. So you don't have to take care of Asian design and.
Not as of yet.
Would be too complicated. But you originally come from Chicago, from the Chicago area. Yeah. And you moved here to Europe, to Germany in your early 20s.
I did, yes. So my wife is German. I got married very young, and we got married.
So that's the reason why you're still here, or it's another reason?
Partially. It's kind of a complicated story.
Okay, tell us.
I met my wife in France, actually. Speaking of, we talked about France earlier. But basically, we got married in the U.S. We got married very young.
Okay.
And, going to university is really expensive in the United States.
Yeah, and it's very cheap here.
And I didn't have a budget for university. And in Germany, my wife was like, well, if we move back to Germany, you could go to university for free. Okay. And I was like, well, that fits the budget.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
It's a lean luxury strategy.
Yeah, it was. So that was the lead part. And so we worked together for a year to prepare. And I had learned German in that year. And you have to take a German as a foreign language test, which is quite challenging, quite difficult. Okay.
To start in a German university.
Okay. Yeah. And then you have to put together sort of a portfolio of work and turn that in and do all kinds of tests. So it was a long process to kind of get me here. But when
I studied in French, they even didn't ask me if I speak French or not.
Yeah,
so the first day I was there, but I didn't understand anything.
Yeah, I mean, even though it's a very international environment at the Fine Arts School here in Munich, still, I do think it's a good thing that you can sort of know the basics of a language. So. Okay. And and then after university, we just kind of stayed in the Munich area. I had found a job right off the bat, and my wife as well. So yeah.
Cool.
We're happy here.
I talked to another colleague of you, and he told me that there's a campaign around tattoos or a recruiting campaign. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any tattoos?
I do.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in connection with that campaign. No, but it's a great thing. I think Ruby's all...
You were the guinea pig again, huh?
No, I was not. Not that time.
For the Ruby tattoo.
No, but I think for Ruby, it's really about, being yourself and feeling like you can be yourself in a work environment. So it's really a sort of a come as you are. And I think it is a great idea to support that and to encourage people to be themselves. So... that's what we're looking for in the hosts and the people who are working in the hotels is that authenticity. So I think anything we can do to support that is a good thing.
Okay, cool. No, very good idea. It was Michael Struck who founded the company in 2013.
Yes.
He's still on board, yeah?
He is.
How often do you see him, guys?
Well, Misha, he's really interested in design, and he put a lot of thought into developing the design of the first couple of hotels. So we're always talking about design. We're talking about, the new projects and looking at where we want to take things. We're also looking at we're constantly working on adapting the product we have and making it as good as it can be. So yeah, we talk very regularly, and it's, a lot of times it feels like we're not necessarily seeing one another here in Munich, but we'll be, on the job site in London, and then I'll see him, in Vienna or something. So it's always connected to the projects that we're doing.
Okay. So, a question that it's quite important today. But whenever you plan or design a hotel,
Yeah.
Are there any sustainability aspects you take into consideration today? Perhaps today, but not a few years ago.
Definitely.
Or is there any you have to, perhaps?
Yeah. So, I mean, depending on how the project is structured, there's some projects, new build projects, where the architecture of the building is trying to achieve a certain standard, which means there are things we do to help the architects achieve that standard. But in terms of, interior design, I think more and more, we use in our public areas almost all vintage furnishings. So for me, that's about using things that are already here and not creating things that will get thrown away.
Yeah.
So I think, all of the decorative objects that we use, all the furniture, is predominantly vintage. And then again, coming back to kind of the thing of using real materials, I think if you're not using complicated materials that contain a lot of plastics or contain elements that can't be recycled, it's just generally easier to recycle them.
Yeah.
So I think having an authenticity with the materials that you're using and seeing where you can pull in vintage elements instead of buying something new, that's kind of our twofold focus on sustainability, just from an interior design standpoint.
Okay. Where did you get the inspiration from? So in general, do you read a lot of magazines, or do you travel?
I travel. I mean, a lot for work. We're always going on different job sites and seeing different things. And for me, it's important to really to take time for inspiration. I think.
Okay. Do you have enough time for this? Or?
I make time for it because if I'm not inspired
during holidays or during work. So is it part of your
both really? I mean, I think it's about going through the world with your eyes open, but. If I'm not inspired, if I'm not feeling creative, then I can't be producing the best possible work I can be producing. So it's important to really focus on inspiration. And I think it's one of those things, it's kind of like driving a car. You need to keep the inspiration tank filled so that when you're ready, when that project comes and you need to start right away, you can instantly sort of turn the key, the car starts and go.
Okay.
But if your car is always on empty and you always have to then find inspiration and fill up the tank before you can start your trip,
good point.
It just adds time to the process. I think it's crucial to to constantly keep yourself inspired and really invest in that.
Okay, very good point. Yeah,
that's how I do it.
Yeah. It's going well, our first English Hotel podcast.
I've understood every question. You're doing wonderful.
No. Yeah. So it's been a big pleasure having you here.
Well, thank you very much.
On the Hotel podcast. Yeah.
My pleasure.
Is there anything you want to
add? Well, I think we just recommend, if you haven't checked out one of our hotels, or come by for a drink and check out the brand. We've got locations in Düsseldorf and Cologne and Hamburg, here in Munich. So
very nice locations.
Yeah, great locations. Also great locations within the cities. Like we were talking about, being able to walk everywhere. So it's kind of perfect for the weekend trip, perfect for business trip. So come check us out.
And enjoy the nice design and the lean luxury.
Yes.
In the end. Matthew, thanks a lot.
Thank you. My pleasure.
See you soon.
All right. Take care.